make two recordings. I'm going to record uh, this particular help session, and then I'm going to do another sort of pass at chi-square and logistic regression, simply because there's a few little wrinkles and elements that I think it's necessary to make a point on. That's not necessarily related to how those things work as it is to how do you interpret once you've gotten what you've got. And so we'll kind of work in that sort of environment. One thing that you do need to know is that from here on, the data set I'll be using will also be the data set that is the one for the final evaluation. And so the idea is to get you a little bit used to that data set. It's familiar in terms of it looks almost the same as the data sets we've been using the last 2 or 3, but it's a little bit different in that I have transformed a few variables, a couple of variables, and created a couple of new ones, and have made sure that we didn't have any missing data elements in the data set. So nothing to screw up the latest version of JASP. Hopefully, we can, if you need to, we'll go back, I guess, next week. My plan for next week is to look at a couple of concepts that I have not dealt with in here in terms of things like power and effect size and a couple of techniques that you run into, particular statistical techniques that are used a lot in medical literature or public health literature. There are things like regression, discontinuity, and propensity score stuff and things like that that are not really as difficult as they sound, but they do have a certain level of complexity to them, and there's not things that I can do readily on JASP. And so we'll kind of look at the general concept of those, so you'll know what they're talking about when you happen to run across those things in the literature. And if you'll excuse me, let me kill a little light here. But first, it was mainly to find out, kind of where you are in terms of how you feel about things. I wanted to show you, in fact, let me go over there right now and show you the As You Learn site, which hopefully you have had a chance to take a look at a little bit. And let me see if I can slide this over someplace. There we go. Okay, and what I have put in place is the entire rest of the As You Learn links. Tonight, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about how you feel about some of these elements over here, up here, and what things you don't understand. We might not get to all that tonight. If not, we'll cover it next week, or I'll talk about it next week. The elements we're going to deal with tonight are chi-square and logistic regression. We're going to kind of play around with those a little bit. You'll see at the bottom of that section 7, the final evaluation itself. It's up there. The evaluation data file is also up there. There are as a link to post that final evaluation. After we meet next week, in terms of kind of another help session, I will be available, to schedule a one-on-one sort of thing or any sort of thing that you might find useful, and prepping you or getting you prepped for that particular experience. The only thing I want to answer is, direct questions about the questions and the data. that are on the final exam, but we'll talk about the techniques if you need to or whatever. You also will find what will happen once you submit the final exam by August 1st. And I think that's a Saturday night or something like that. So you've got, roughly about 10 days to deal with that. I'll open up links for the very next day. And so August 1st is a hard target. It's one you have to make sure you hit. And I'll send a couple of reminders on that. I'll open up link the next day for the answer sheets and any redos that you may need. I'll open up the redo questions, and I'll open up the basically the timeline, a little bit different data set for the redo. We've kind of culled another data set, so you won't be working on exactly the same one to do the redo. And that would be due at the latest on the 5th. And so the 5th is a hard target. I have to turn in grades on the 6th, so obviously it's not one that I can slide in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. I will try to immediately turn around on August 2nd, the morning of the 2nd, and send you back, you need to redo these sections, these questions. Or I'll send you a message that says, whoopee, you got everything right. So, have a nice rest of your summer, whatever. But, it'll be up to you to complete the redo. And then I would hope that, looking at the answer sheet and what you got wrong and what you did wrong would have given you plenty of hint there as to how to go about redoing the redo. There are some other topics down here that you'll notice. On topic 9, I will post a video of those. A lecture that talks about some of that stuff. And we'll just kind of use that as opposed to, we ran out of a couple of sessions back earlier. So, I'll put those up as a video. And perhaps some of the stuff up here too, maybe confidence intervals, power and effect size, some of those things I'll put up as a video also. And so we won't necessarily spend, the help session talking about those things. Questions about where we are with all of that? And
Dr. Bolt?
Yeah.
If you send us a message, is that an email that we should be watching for or something on As You Learn?
It'll be an email, yeah.
So if we hadn't gotten an email from you previously about any of the other 2 evaluations we've done, we're doing okay right now.
Well, those are all self-checks. And so
okay.
You would know whether you're doing okay or not.
Okay.
The only one you wouldn't know that you're doing okay on is the ANOVA. And, that was because we kind of screwed the data set there. I didn't realize the data set would be susceptible to the new version of JASP.
Okay.
But otherwise, yeah, if you're in the ballpark and you got use the right procedures and you got the right answers and or can see where you made your mistake, those are all self-checks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I would go back and look at all those things. And if you find that you do have things you have questions about, by all means, let's put them out there, and next week we'll deal with them. Or if you got to send me an email about something or whatever, I'll deal with it then.
Very good. Thank you.
In this final evaluation, do you want the screenshots of all of the JASP data graphs and that sort of thing along with those answers?
Oh yeah, always.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like you know, algebra or geometry. It's always show your work.
Okay. Sounds
It's, you know, it's kind of like, I guess the first math class I ever got into where we didn't have to show our work was calculus. And I think it was because uh, the instructor didn't understand it either. So it wouldn't have helped. Um, but anyhow, yeah, you need to paste in the charts and things like that. Yeah. Other questions? Okay. All right, I'm going to kill this recording.